Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome. Welcome back to the Great Lakes Health Radio program on 96.5 Power 96.5 or WUFO 1080 AM. I want to welcome you again. I'm Francesca Messiah from Kaleida Health, Manager, Workforce Development, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for once again tuning in and listening to the Great Lakes Health Radio program, which is about your health and the health of your friends, your relatives, your family. And I'm just hoping at the end of the show, first half and the second half, that you pick something up that you can share with a friend. Well, today our first guest is Dr. George E. Matthews, Chief of Service, Department of Internal Medicine. And Dr. Matthews is also a cardiologist. So today's topic, we'll be talking about cardiac disease. How healthy is your heart? And a call to action, something for you to do for yourself and those around you. But first, let me start with Kaleida Health. Who is Kaleida Health? Kaleida Health, we're more than hospitals. We are in 10 of the counties throughout Western New York. And and I will name some of our hospitals. Our hospitals do include Buffalo General Medical Center. We have the emergency department at DeGraff Medical Park, Gates Vascular Institute, Oshai Children's Hospital, Millard Fillmore Suburban, Bradford Regional Center, Bradford, that's Bradford, Pennsylvania, and Olean General Hospital. Those are our hospitals. Our ambulatory centers, we have one on Harlem Road, one on Klein Road, our Millard Fillmore Surgery Center, and one in the Southtown's Surgery Center. We have blood draws throughout the 10 areas, 10 counties within Western New York, and we have all types of clinics for all ages, along with the Visiting Nursing Association that makes visits 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to your home, no matter how old or how young that person is who might need medical service. All right. And also, Kaleida Health, we have over 900 jobs on our website, and we want you to look at our website and apply for a job. Thank you. So let's move on with the interview, which is the impact of cardiac disease. Good morning, Dr. Matthews. How are you?
Good morning, Francesca. I am great, and I'm anxious and excited to speak about heart disease.
Yes, and Dr. Matthews, we've been talking about this program for a little bit, and I promise, because heart disease is what keeps us alive, we will be airing this program more than once. So I know we're going to be airing it a few times throughout the year. It's February, National Cardiac Disease. Is that what February is?
Indeed.
Okay. Well, let's get started. What does the heart control in the body, and why is it important to be concerned about your heart, including your blood pressure?
Okay. Well, that's a great question and to begin with. Um, the heart's main function for all that we do and think about is to pump blood. It pumps blood that carries nutrients and oxygen throughout the body to the various organs. Now, um, uh, we often consider other areas of the heart important, whether that's the arteries or the valves. And all of those other portions of the heart are very important, but it's important to maintain the function of the heart, which is, again, to pump blood. Now, when we think about the heart, we always will think about the illnesses that may affect the heart. And Francesca, you described one, which is high blood pressure. When the heart, as it's pumping blood, generates too great a pressure within the blood vessels, and that can be damaging over long term. Specifically, as the pressure rises within the blood vessels, It can damage the blood vessels, leading to blockages. It can damage the heart itself because the heart has to generate a higher pressure to effectively move blood throughout the blood vessels to the various organs. And that can, over time, weaken the heart itself, leading to heart failure or a weakening of the heart muscle. It can also, as we think about the heart, we have to think about the heart rhythm or the heartbeat, and that's the essential to maintain the appropriate cadence. So when we're walking, the heart may beat a little faster. When we're running, the heart may beat even faster, but the heart has to maintain what we describe as homeostasis, the ability to satisfy the needs of the body during various times, whether we're at rest, asleep, or awake, or exercising. So in short, in answer to your question, the heart's main function, for all that we think about, is to pump blood and nutrients to the various organs.
So I just a quick question. So if someone's walking upstairs, let's say you're working at, let's say you're at Kaleida Hospital and you decide, let me take the stairs, and then you let's say you're walking to the fifth floor, and you're huffing and puffing. Is it normal to huff and puff like that? And how long? And what is a normal rate versus you need to have yourself checked out?
Great question. When we think about doing any type of exertional activity, and walking up flights of stairs, a great example, we have to think about, first of all, have we done that and are we in adequate shape to perform that activity, whether it's walking up a flight of stairs, going for a run, doing some exertional activity. Have we done the appropriate, or have we gotten in adequate shape to be able to perform that activity? Now, if we're talking about walking up one flight of stairs, that should be easily accomplished. If we're talking about 5 flights of stairs, well, certainly if an individual is out of shape and has not done that, then that's not something that we would say would be easily accomplished. What we would be concerned about, if for the individual walking up one flight of stairs, to your point earlier, if they're huffing and puffing, then that's definitely not normal. Again, we have to look at it in the context of the individual's functioning, or what we call functional capacity. How much are they able to do, and is that too much of an activity for their level of conditioning? An example of that might be if I said, Francesca, I want you to run a marathon. You would say, well, I haven't trained for that. I don't think I could do that right now. But if you had the adequate training, you could do that. In contrast to that, if I said, Francesca, I want you to run 100 feet, you should be able to accomplish that activity with little or no difficulty. Again, we have to look at it in the context of what the condition is of the individual and what their exercise capacity is. Certainly, if the heart is weakened, then they're not going to be able to perform the most modest of activities. And that's the point at which a red flag goes up.
Hmm. Okay, thank you. Now, something we had also had talked about, we're talking about social determinants of health. It's something you hear all the time. We talk about corner stores. We talk about stores that are located in our communities that sell, as it relates to the heart, sells cigarettes, sells tobacco, sells vaping, cigars. They don't sell marijuana, but marijuana is something that you inhale. Between cigarettes, tobacco, vaping, cigars, marijuana, are any of those good for the heart?
Well, great question. So let's dispel any myths. And I'll start with the tobacco products. We know for the past probably 40 years that tobacco is harmful to health. So whether that's taken in the form of cigarettes, cigars, if it is inhaled, it is going to be harmful. That harm can provide for an increase in risk of heart attack, of stroke, of heart failure. So we know right off the bat that those are harmful aspects. Vaping also, again, we cannot say that that is a healthy activity. That is much more recent in development, but the adverse consequences of vaping do exist. So again, we're going to say that that is not a healthy alternative to other tobacco products. And let me then pivot now to marijuana, because as you know, there have been a change in the legal system so that marijuana is now
Legal.
sold and able to be purchased in a variety of fashions. What I would caution is that unlike the other aspects, tobacco in particular, marijuana has not been subject to the extreme rigor of what of the health benefits or adverse consequence of that particular product. In particular, marijuana may have a bad consequence or with a deleterious consequence or hazard for blood pressure. It may also contribute to that weakening of the heart muscle. There are a number of concerns about the utilization of marijuana in the form of being inhaled that may have potential adverse consequences. High blood pressure, heart failure, things along those lines. So again, because it's legal doesn't mean it's safe, and we've got to be very careful to separate those two. And as a cardiologist, I'm very concerned because there may be consequences that we may not see for 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And speaking of this, that same corner store, another thing that's sold in many corner stores or just sold at grocery stores and around is alcohol. And I'd have never thought about, at first I was going to talk about congestive heart failure, but then I'm looking at congestive heart failure, but I'm really looking at alcohol. And, it's every month there's a celebration and you see alcohol commercials all the time on television. So is alcohol have an effect on the heart?
Well, a great question. And, there's been a lot of material that's been published about alcohol maybe having a beneficial effect or a harmful effect. And let me put it into perspective. Many years ago, there was individuals who lived in European countries, France in particular. They would have potentially less heart-related diseases, and it was surmised that alcohol may have been a contributing factor to reduce the risk of heart disease. And in particular, there was a suggestion that red wine may be healthy or may reduce the risk of heart disease. Fast forward to today, as we've gained more knowledge, as there have been greater epidemiologic studies, the World Health Organization has come out with a declaration that there is no amount of alcohol that is safe. So 1 glass, 5 glasses, an ounce, alcohol is not a safe product. So unfortunately, the World Health Organization has made that declaration and has been very, very precise in stating that. And it's now the role of public health agencies to disseminate that information to the best that they can. Now, that's not to say that if you go to a celebration and everyone has a glass of champagne and raises a toast, that you can't drink it. But as a matter of course, alcohol taken daily or a couple of drinks a week, probably not the best process or not the best habit to engage in. So just to reiterate so that there is no confusion, there is no amount of alcohol that is considered safe to ingest.
And listeners, I know that will be a real takeaway. No amount of alcohol is good. Good for your heart. Part of what got us started on this today's topic was a mutual friend of ours who suffered from a heart attack, but back to work and he's doing well. But my question is, many of us really don't know what a heart attack is. I know during the playoffs, people were sending little emojis around with, people holding their heart, but it's no joke to have a heart attack. So could you talk about some of the warning signs of a heart attack? And are the signs the same for men as they are for women?
Okay, great question. Okay, well let's first define what we refer to as a heart attack. And classically, that's when one of the blood vessels of the heart is obstructed, is blocked off, and the heart does not get sufficient blood flow in and of itself to maintain the viability, to maintain the life of that portion of the heart muscle. And as a consequence, that muscle dies, or that portion of the muscle dies. So as you described, there are signs that men and women may experience. So let me go to the signs that in general that we describe as associated with a heart-related issue. It may be chest discomfort. And oftentimes the chest discomfort is described as a pressure, tightness, or squeezing. There may be discomfort in other areas of the body. Classically, we talk about jaw, neck, or the back, or discomfort that's in our arms. And I mention this because it's not infrequent that somebody will have a toothache or what they perceive to be a toothache or a jaw discomfort that may be the first sign of a heart-related issue. Other symptoms that may occur both in men and women: shortness of breath. The individual may break out into a cold sweat, and not like a light perspiration, but literally a dripping sweat, or they may have nausea or lightheadedness. Now, in men, the most common signs are the intense chest discomfort. Again, I don't like to use the term pain because it may be pressure, a squeezing sensation, or tightness. Men may also have discomfort that radiates into the left arm in particular. So those symptoms very common in men. Women may have a little bit different symptoms, and we have to appreciate that not everybody, and certainly not the different sexes, may have the same feeling. Women may experience less intense discomfort or pressure in the chest than men. Women oftentimes will have shortness of breath or may experience fatigue. Women may experience nausea, vomiting, dizziness, lightheadedness, or pain in the neck or jaw. Now, I say these men and women, and I differentiate, but without question, men may have shortness of breath, women may have very intense discomfort. So these symptoms may overlap, and men and women, acknowledging that they may experience them to different intensity or may experience them in different areas, they will often have the same types of symptoms. And just to reiterate, it's chest discomfort, discomfort that radiates into the arm, neck, jaw, shortness of breath, sweating, or what we call diaphoresis, another word for sweating, or nausea or lightheadedness. So those are the common symptoms that individuals will describe.
Hmm. Wow, that's yeah. So that's fascinating. Um, is a heart attack cause after a heart attack? Does one then have congestive heart failure? Only because I was recently having a conversation with someone and they said, "Oh, they just have congestive heart failure." Where I thought congestive heart failure was pretty serious, but the person I was talking to was like, "It's okay. It's just congestive heart failure." Is congestive heart failure serious?
Absolutely. So let's define what we're referring to with congestive heart failure and tie it back to your first question. Congestive heart failure is the inability of the heart to adequately pump or to provide the various organs with blood flow. And the reason we say congestive is because if the heart is not pumping adequately and pushing blood out to the various organs, then fluid can back up. And if it backs up into the lungs, we say that there's lung congestion or edema or pulmonary edema. If it backs up into the legs, we say that there's peripheral edema or swelling in the legs. So those are various areas where congestion may manifest. Now, let me just put it in a different way. At the beginning, we spoke about the heart being major function is a pump. So if it's not able to pump blood, then that leads to the congestive heart failure. But congestive heart failure may not or does not only arise from the heart attack. In African Americans, we see a significant amount of congestive heart failure that results from high blood pressure. So high blood pressure over many years, it weakens the heart, and we see that the heart is unable to pump blood, and then again, we get congestive heart failure. Additionally, individuals may have congestive heart failure because the heart becomes very stiff and is unable to fully expand to fill with blood. So it becomes very, very stiff and is not able to, again, adequately pump blood. So again, congestive heart failure or heart failure results from the inability to adequately pump blood, and that can result in fluid building up into the chest or into the extremities, the legs, and that is very serious. What we know is that if that goes untreated, that there is a high likelihood that the individual will not have a long life, that there is an increased incidence of sudden death, of premature death, of having major problems.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I just also want our listeners to know that if, I hear that, again, working in the community, I'm now in the area of workforce development, but I still do health fairs on occasion. I hear people sometimes say, oh, my high blood pressure medication is making me dizzy. If it's making you dizzy, talk to your cardiologist. Please talk to your cardiologist and make them aware. There are hundreds of different types of medication to bring your blood pressure down. So please, if you are feeling dizzy, it's not making you feel well, give them a call and get in there immediately. I just wanted to add that. Exercise, how important? And I know I said after 50, and you were like, oh, no, it's not after 50. How important is exercise to maintaining a strong and healthy heart?
Well,
even taking high blood pressure medication.
You hit the nail on the head. Exercise is wonderful beginning at any age. Exercise assists in strengthening the heart, improving the overall conditioning of the body. But in particular, if we're going to maintain a healthy heart, exercise assists us in maintaining our weight. It assists us in improving the vasculature, the blood vessels, and making sure that they can accommodate the various requirements needed to perform the various activities. It assists in strengthening the heart in particular. And so we don't want to wait till we're 50 or 60 to begin an exercise program. We want to say the younger, the better, because exercise at any age is helpful and healthful. So it helps us, but it also helps us maintain good health. And it maintains that good health from maintaining the structure and strength of the heart itself.
And I know that one thing when I was in the community, I would always, doing the health fairs a lot, I would say to people, coming to the table, just walk around the church parking lot before Bible study or before church or after church. Don't walk in the path of the cars, but normally a parking lot is a good space just to take a couple laps around, either with a friend or alone, because walking is a fabulous exercise.
You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that, Francesca. Um, Walking is perhaps the best exercise because we all have to walk to perform our activities of daily living. So if we get in the habit of walking, um, doing, as you described it, a couple of laps in a particular area, then anything that we do around the house should be almost a piece of cake because we're going to be able to navigate a much larger area in walking within our homes or apartments. We should be able to do that fairly easily. The times that I'm most concerned is when people do no exercise. And to your point, they don't even exercise in a small area. And as a consequence, they become less and less able to perform their activities of daily living. They become more sedentary. And unfortunately, that's not a prescription for a long and healthy life.
Yes. And Dr. Matthews, we only have 2 to 3 minutes left, but I just want you to take 1 minute, really about 1 minute, to talk about alcohol. I'm not sorry, talk about salt. I've seen you do presentations on salt. So if you could just say salt, cured meat, ribs, sausage, should we avoid salt? Is there any good salt?
Well, I hope that you wouldn't use a four-letter word on this discussion, but salt is a four-letter word, and it's one of the ones that unfortunately is very harmful to, and I'm going to say, to the population in general and people of color in particular. Um, Salt, and I want to make sure I'm clear about this. People say, well, I use Himalayan salt or I use kosher salt. If it says salt, then we have to be very, very, very careful and judicious because that contributes again to the problems with blood pressure that an individual may be exposing themselves to. So if we can reduce the amount of foods high in salt, that's the best thing. Now, I'm going to be a little politically incorrect because we all like to celebrate and the Super Bowl is coming up and everybody's going to be having wings and a whole host of very, very enjoyable foods. But we've got to be very careful because those things may be high in salt or sodium. They may be high in cholesterol. They may be high in sugar. They may be a number of various areas that contribute to either high blood pressure or may contribute to diabetes or may contribute to obesity in general. So we've got to think very carefully going forward.
Yeah, and on that note, Dr. Matthews, our time is up, but I promise you the show will air a few times in the 2025 season. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Georgie Matthews, Chief of Service, Department of Internal Medicine here at Kaleida Health. And listeners, stay tuned. We have another exciting guest coming up. And now on to part two. And welcome back to the second half of the Great Lakes Health Radio program on Power 96.5 FM, WUFO 1080 AM. Well, we always have exciting shows. Well, maybe I always say they're always exciting because I just feel that they are exciting. And we always have exciting guests. And this is a summer program. So if I do re-air, and I know I'm going to re-air this program, but this is summertime that we are speaking. And we have a summer program that we are part of at UB called the Buffalo Externship Program. Before I start with the program, I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And if you're listening to the second part of the program from the first part, thank you for staying tuned to the Great Lakes Health Radio program. I'm your host, Francesca Messiah, Manager, Workforce Development, Kaleida Health. Alrighty, back with the program. So this is the second year that Kaleida Health has participated in a program, part of the University of Buffalo, called the Externship Program, which is part of the Prentice Foundation, and we'll get into that in the program. So our guest for today, we have Amy Mullen or Monin. Did I pronounce it right, Amy?
Monin, but
Monin.
no worries.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank
Amy
you.
is an MBA and Master's of Business Administration. Amy, what is a PMP?
Project management professional.
And a project manager professional with the Strategic Initiatives Director for the UB Startup and Innovation Collaboratory. We have three of our students who are part of the summer program that's taking part not only at Kaleida, but across Western New York. However, these are three of the six students who are participating in the internship program. I'm going to do a shout out. Good morning. Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Ebony, good morning. How are you?
Yes, good morning. I'm doing fine to yourself. Thank
Oh,
you for
very
asking.
well. And Daniela, is it Daniela or do they call you Danny for a nickname?
Yes, I go by Danny, but it is Daniela. Good
All
morning.
right, Danny. All righty. So these are three of our six interns, externship program. And again, this is Kaleida's second year participating. Very happy and very proud to be participating. But first, Amy, I'm going to start out with you. If you could provide an overview of the program and what are the goals and the expectations?
Absolutely. So the long name is the Western New York Sophomore Externship Experience at the University at Buffalo. So the acronym boils down to C, and we like to say to our students that through this program, we really want them to see themselves in Western New York. So it is a 9-week summer program, and there are two components. One is an externship component, similar to an internship, but an externship is usually shorter experience and really a student's first exit from the university. And then we do a pretty comprehensive wraparound professional development that is in addition to their externship placement. So it's a really enveloping program that has a great impact on students. The really unique part about it is that and again, it's for students that have just completed their sophomore year. So they'll have completed 4 semesters at a college or university. And it's students that are going to the university at Buffalo are eligible, but also students that might be going to a university in the 8 counties of Western New York, or students that might be going to a different university like the Ohio State or Rice University or the University of Pittsburgh, but they graduated from a Western New York high school. So that piece of it is really unique to a lot of the other programs that we offer. And the goals are really to introduce students to professional development activities sooner. So sophomore year, or the finish of a sophomore year is pretty early to have an internship or an externship. And we wanted to kind of start that professional development experience for these students sooner. And our goal really is to give them that foundation that will make them more competitive for their next internship experience in their junior and senior years. We also, in working with our host company partners, because each student is placed at a host company, we want to introduce them to kind of the workforce and open up that pipeline sooner because we know that it's really important for them to get the best and brightest students, as well as in the end, we want students to fall in love with Western New York and Buffalo, and we want to retain them here after they do graduate. So that's kind of the overview of the program. Happy to get into it more. The students spend about 25 hours a week total, either at their externship site or with us doing professional development, and it is a paid experience. So they don't have to choose between a job to kind of earn funding for the summer and a professional development experience. They get to have both.
That is wonderful. And I think that's the most exciting part. I am always bragging on this program. I mean, to anybody who looks like they're listening, kind of listening. I was just talking to someone today. How would they apply? How would they apply? How would the student apply? How would the parent find out more information about this program?
So they would go on our website. The University of Buffalo Startup and Innovation Collaboratory is the organization or department that I am with, and students apply there. There's a spot for UB students and then students from all other universities. The application for next year is not up yet. It will be up in October, I would say, and it's initially it's an application that they submit. And then we have a team. We had over 30 members from UB, our staff, that reviewed applications. And then there's an interview phase. And then once you reach that phase, we look at the host companies that we have available, and then look at our pool of applicants and do matching. So that's sort of how that process works. And it usually occurs between January and May.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And now I have that information. I can go back and tell the person I was speaking with whose daughter is a senior in high school. And I said, just start looking at it now. I mean, I believe in trying to prepare as much as you can for the future. And that's what this program does. And so next, I'm with our students. And the first person I'm going to say is Ebony. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, ma'am, you did. You did
Oh,
pronounce
okay.
it
So,
Abby.
Ebony, so if you could please discuss your experience
hmm
and your goals and how the program is helping you to reach your goals and what school that you'll be attending or you are attending.
Yes. So I'm actually an incoming transfer student. I will be attending Canisius University in the fall of 2025, so this upcoming semester. And to answer the question, you said basically talk about my experience, my goals, and how the program has helped me reach those goals. I would honestly say my experience working at Kaleida Health Laboratories, that's my host company who I am participating with, it's been very rewarding in terms of just helping me grow more professionally and personally. And I would say most importantly, it has helped me to solidify just my desire and curiosity to pursue clinical laboratory science. So that is actually going to be my major when I attend Canisius in the fall of this 2025 semester. So essentially, as an extern working at the laboratory, my day-to-day duties can, sometimes look very different, right? Depending on which department I'm in, whether it's a administration department. So I might be working in registration, helping with like the financial side of things, or I could specifically be in a lab, right? For example, one of my favorite labs that I've had the opportunity to work in was the anatomical pathology lab. So they deal with all things tissue related, biopsy related. So whether it's learning about how, a biopsy is processed in the lab, um, to learning about the medical secretary department within pathology, right? Being able to organize the slides so that way, our pathologists can have easier access to patient records, right? If they want to go out and have further testing done on these different biopsies, they have easy access to that because of the medical secretary department. So honestly, it's really, I would say I didn't really know too much about clinical laboratory science until I started to do my own research, right? I said, how can I make an impact in this world? What is it that I want to do? And I started to kind of just brainstorm and go back to when I was younger, the different curiosities that I had. And I strayed away from it because of my own insecurities. But, when I had this awakening, I would say, or like this second opportunity to pursue school, I said, let's do it the right way. Let's go all in. And once I came across clinical laboratory science, I said, okay, this is somewhere that I feel like I can definitely make an impact. And not a lot of people know about this field, right? It is behind the scenes. But I think something that I've really learned being here at the externship is that um, I'm having a greater appreciation for the work that these lab professionals are doing. Like I said, it's behind the scenes, but the work that they do is vital to, the patient care. It's vital to healthcare in general, right? Making sure
Yes.
that
Yeah.
the patient is getting the accurate results that they need. And a lot of people, they're not thinking about that. Once you get, like, for example, your blood drawn, the next thing you're thinking about is, okay, when am I going to have my results, right? Sometimes we don't stop to consider the process and what that
Right.
looks like behind the scenes. And this externship has allowed me to literally go behind the scenes to see how each department works, right? And they're separate
And
departments,
and
but
you know
there's
what? I'm gonna have to only cut you because I know we're gonna come back to you,
yeah, of
but
course.
I have to give your colleagues an opportunity as
No, of
well.
course. Now
So,
let me not
no,
take
no,
away.
and I love the enthusiasm. No, thank you.
No, of course.
And if you didn't understand what department, she has been placed at our labs, our
Right.
Kaleida labs, and I need to have them more on the radio program. But I want to say thank you, and
Of
we'll
course.
be back
Yes, of
next.
course.
Kat, that's all right. Kaylee, can you discuss your experience, your goals, and how the program is helping you to reach your goals?
So during this externship, I was at Oshai Children's Hospital. They put us mostly in women's health, so we were rotated around maternity. We
And
got
you're
to.
in nursing. You're in nursing, right?
I'm a nursing major.
Okay.
So we were at the maternal fetal medicine clinic. We were at mother baby unit. We were working with ultrasound. We were with genetics, and we were at labor and delivery. Coming into this externship, I had a couple of goals. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and ask questions so that I could see the things that I wanted to see. I wanted to have some clarity of my career, like Ebony said, and I wanted to have some hospital experience because this was my first time.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun in general. I just wanted to have fun.
Oh, good. Oh, good. And who of your supervisors? What area are you in? Are you in any specific area at Oshai Children's Hospital?
We rotated around maternity. The maternity,
Okay.
yeah.
So rotate around including high risk maternity. Have you gotten
Yes, yes.
involved?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
mostly in the high risk clinic.
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned to all these students, they're in area. I've been with Kaleida 20 years. They're in areas I'm not familiar with. That's why I find it fascinating listening to what they're doing because they're educating me. So thank you. Danny, how about you? Discuss your experience, your goals, and how is a program assisting you with helping to reach your goals?
Yes. Hi. So during this time, to start with, I am a biomedical engineering student. And
Mhm.
so when I applied for this program, I had heard of it from a couple of friends, and they were mostly in areas like nursing and business. And when we were told that we were going to be matched with a business in Western New York, I had no idea what to expect because I had done my own research and I had come to a conclusion that there was no place for me in Western New York as a biomedical engineer because I figured that it was a very small field. So when I applied for this program, I was very hopeful that I would be placed in maybe a mechanical engineering role or just any role that would allow me to have some experience working with devices. And I didn't think that I would get an opportunity to work in a hospital. So when I got this internship I got a place in this externship and I was matched with the clinical engineering department here at Kaleida, I had no idea what to expect. And um, because my supervisor actually put in a request, and in his request, there were very specific qualities that he wanted in an intern, and I happened to fulfill those qualities. So it was it kind of opened up a new door for me that I had never explored before. And these past couple of weeks here at the clinical engineering department have truly been so eye-opening and have provided me with so much clarity on what I want to do and how I could fit in Western New York. And I have actually found that I quite like it in the role that I have right now, and I would be more than honored to return if I were to have the opportunity. Here, my day to day is so different. Every day is just so different. The whole month of June, I spent with the Biomed ones, who are mostly in charge of pumps and heart rate monitors and other machines like that, and breast pumps. And unlike other people here, I was not stuck to just one department. I got to go to every single hospital and every single department and explore, and I got to work with machines that are used all throughout the hospital. And in the month of July, my supervisor actually allowed me to shadow different people in different disciplines and people who are in charge of different machines. I was with the anesthesia, so I got to go into the ORs and see how the anesthesia machine gets its preventative maintenance, and I got to fix the screens. I got to witness a surgery. Actually, I got to witness someone using the robots to perform a surgery in the OR machine, and I got a lesson on just how that happens and how the clinical engineers are in charge of making sure that everything works as it should. And it was just very eye-opening, and it
That's
opened me
great.
up a field that I didn't know about before, and it's shifted my goals a little.
Well,
Um,
oh no, that is really great. And we're going to come back to you for another question. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Amy, how early? I mean, I'm hoping that you're as excited as I am about this program. If I would give everybody a big hug if I could, but we're virtual. Amy, how early can one apply for this program?
Yeah, so we typically have applications up starting mid-fall. So I would say be on the lookout around October to have those to be ready to submit an application. Um, Again, we at the Startup and Innovation Collaboratory at UB are the ones who facilitate the program. So, um, if there are questions out there, we are happy to answer in the meantime. But we really start that recruitment around October. And I don't want to be remiss, just very quickly, because I don't know if I hit it before, but this program has been generously funded by the Prentice Family Foundation and the Bryant Foundation. So always want to acknowledge and say thank you for their support because, again, this program is pretty unique and would not have been possible without them. So we look forward to applications and new students and new host companies because we are recruiting those as well to offer really great experiences like Kaleida has.
Yeah, and that's so true because everybody, all of your supervisors, and for the externs who are not on the call, that's one thing everybody says is that they wish they had this experience when they were going through school. We all wish we were able to have this. Danny, if you weren't in the program, I think you kind of answered it before, but let's just answer it again. If you weren't in the program, where would you have gained this work experience in clinical engineering?
I doubt that I would be able to gain this work experience anywhere else, mostly because my experience is not just made up of the things that I do and the areas that I've been allowed to kind of peek into and work. It's also made up of the people, and the people in my department, especially my mentor, Kiara Morrow. She has been truly an advocate for me, and she has advocated for me to be in certain rooms and for me to work with certain devices that I don't believe that I would get such an opportunity anywhere else,
Mhm.
um, especially not by myself. So I'm truly grateful for this program and for Kaleida for just giving me such an unforgettable experience.
Thank you. Kaylee, discuss the application process. How did you hear about the application? And was it a long application? Was it short? Just give our listeners a little bit about the application process.
I heard about the application from my school. I got an email And since I was a sophomore, I was eligible for it.
And which school are you at?
DeVille University.
DeVille. Okay, great.
So the application wasn't long. You needed your high school transcript, your college transcript, and your resume, but unofficial. So that was a little bit more easier.
Mm-hmm.
They asked just general questions about yourself, and then they asked some questions about like why you want to be in the program, why you think you're a good fit, and how you plan on contributing to Western New York in the future.
Mm-hmm. And why did you put you were a good fit?
Because it was my first time like getting to have hospital experience, and I knew that I needed some experience because I was having clinicals next semester. So and I plan on like being in the community during like when I finish my graduation. So that's why.
Oh gosh, I tell you. And Ebony, please share advice, things that you've learned from working at Kaleida Health, from working in Kaleida Labs. We have all ages listening to to our program. And so what's some advice that you've learned from working in a professional environment?
I would say there definitely are two pieces of advice I would say that I've learned or like kind of stood out to me, or lessons I should say. One, I think I touched on it before, just kind of understanding that every role matters, right? Not underestimating the behind the scenes work. I think that was one of the lessons that really stuck out to me when I first started working here, because I was able to see, like I said, the importance of each department. And then the second piece is, I feel like it's very common to hear this, right? Don't be afraid to ask questions. I know when I first came in, I was a little nervous. I was excited, but I was very nervous because I said I don't have too much knowledge in these departments that I'm going to be, gaining experience in. So I was afraid that, when I'm externing in these departments or when I'm working with these professionals, I was afraid to ask questions because I was expecting that they would think that I would know or have some type of experience already. And a lot of the senior lab technicians, and even my manager was, letting me know like, hey, don't be afraid to ask questions. They know you're an externship. They know that you're an extern. So it's really okay. Don't feel bad. And that was advice we even heard in the beginning of the externship program in general at our orientation days. A lot of our cohorts, a lot of our team members had, ensured us like, hey, it's going to be okay. They know that you're an extern, so ask away. So that was something that I really took advantage of when I may not have known certain terminology. I was able to speak up and say, hey, would you mind explaining this to me? Would you mind breaking it down a little bit further? Which definitely helped me to grasp even more what they were talking about. So I would say those are the two pieces of advice or lessons I would really take away from my externship experience.
Thank you. And thank you. We have a few minutes left. And you know what? I want to ask Amy, I just want to mention everyone's name. I don't have everyone's name in front of me. Can someone give me the name of the other externs who were unable to make today's program?
I can. So we had Vivian Roy.
Yes.
Also, we have Jessica Klein. And then we have Kamsi. Um, I am blanking on her last name. Um,
That's
and
okay.
and then
That's
we have
okay.
Shandera Baglawi. So I believe that's seven. We had
Yes.
seven externs placed at Kaleida, which was amazing. So typically we aim for at each host company to have two externs. We pair them, right? So students have a buddy going in, and it makes for just a even better experience. But Kaleida, of course, always goes above and beyond. We had many students interested in the healthcare field, and you all really stepped up and are always so gracious to help us and took on seven students, which was amazing.
And it's the students who are amazing, and
Yeah.
it's the program.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have, the students, you're all amazing. We have like 2 minutes left, starting with Ebony. Give me one word. One word that sums up your experience with the University of Buffalo externship program and working at Kaleida Health. One word that comes to mind.
I would say unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
Yeah,
Okay. Danny, one word.
I would also say unforgettable, but I have to find another now.
Okay. We'll come back to you. Kelly, what's your one word?
Maybe unbelievable?
Okay. Unbelievable. Unforgettable. Danny, your word.
My word is memorable.
Memorable. Okay.
And I always say impactful, right? Like we are able to see the impact of these students, and the impact the students have on the companies and the companies have on the students.
Thank you. And Amy, how many organizations, how many placements are the students are where, are the
Yeah.
students placed in?
So this year we had 76 students and we placed them at 33 organizations. So there were some organizations like Kaleida who took 7, but many took 2, a few took 3 or 4. But yes, this year we had 33 organizations. And next year we're hoping to have even more students to grow the program. So we are going to need even more host organizations. So we hope anybody out there listening to your broadcast in your network that may have an organization interested, also be on the lookout. In the fall, we have a host company application, and we would love to have great partners in addition to Kaleida to help place our students.
Well, thank you so much. I am getting the word. We are all out of time. I want to thank Amy Monin. I want to thank Kelly Baca, Ebony Dixon, and Danny Bondo. I want to thank you all for being our guests this morning on the Great Lakes Health Radio program. I'm your host, Francesca Messiah, Kaleida Health Workforce Development. Have a great rest of the weekend and be safe, be healthy. Bye-bye.